But let's bring our focus now to the big talking point, the big headline that emerged from Parliament. The last week of winter session, and you had the government, as we told you first here on India Today, bringing in the One Nation, One Election bill, tabling it in the Lok Sabha. Now, the government had one mission, not for the passage of this bill, because they know that's hugely challenging, but for it to be sent to a joint parliamentary committee, much like the Waqf Amendment Bill. And they've got it their way because of the fact that the NDA obviously has numbers to ensure at least that it's sent across to a JPC. Let's first recap for you what played out in the House, what different opposition parties had to say, and the interesting debate that played out.
The Narendra Modi government tables the One Nation, One Election bill in the Lok Sabha. Union Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal introduced two bills in Parliament. The Constitution 129th Amendment Bill 2024 and the Union Territories Law Amendment Bill. The proposed law outlines a two-phase plan for implementing simultaneous elections nationwide.
Speaker, sir, thank you very much for affording me this opportunity to speak on the introduction of the bill.
The government's move sparked immediate protest by the opposition India bloc, which claimed it was an assault on the constitution and demanded it to be sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for discussion.
There is absolutely no way under the Indian constitutional scheme where the states are separate constituents and equal constituents, the term of the state legislatures can be made subject to the term of the national legislature.
This bill violates the right to democratic self-government, which is part of Article 1419. And if a legislative assembly is dissolved, sir, and midterm elections are conducted, the tenure of that assembly will not be for 5 years, sir. This in itself is a violation of parliamentary democracy, which envisages a tenured legislature.
This is completely against federalism and the Constitution of India. The centre and the states have their own tenures and terms. So I think to mix the two is not fair.
This was followed by a fiery rebuttal by Union Home Minister Amit Shah.
जब ये संविधान सुधार का विधेयक संवैधानिक संशोधन जब कैबिनेट में चर्चा में आया, तब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वयं मनसा व्यक्त करी थी कि इसको जेपीसी को देना चाहिए। इस पर विस्तृत चर्चा सभी स्तर पर होनी चाहिए। इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि इसमें सदन का ज्यादा समय जाया करे बगैर अगर मंत्री जी कहते हैं कि इसको जेपीसी को सौंपने के लिए वो तैयार है, तो जेपीसी में सारी चर्चा होगी और जब जेपीसी के रिपोर्ट के आधार पर कैबिनेट इसको पारित करेगी, तब भी फिर से चर्चा होनी है।
NDA allies too backed the government on One Nation, One Poll bills.
मैं शिवसेना और हमारे नेता एकनाथ शिंदे जी की तरफ से इस बिल का पूरी तरीके से समर्थन करता हूं। I rise today on behalf of the Telugu Desam Party to express our unwavering support for the NDA's One Nation and One Election bill. Sir, our party's guiding force, Sri Nara Chandrababu Naidu ji, has always championed transformative ideas and is well recognized and respected as a visionary leader, sir.
The bills were then put to voting for considering it for admission in the House. While 256 MPs voted in favour, 198 MPs opposed it. The bill was then referred to JPC, where it will be further discussed.
Various opposition political parties have opposed this, saying that it would put the federalism in danger and will finish off various regional players. The government has agreed upon sending these bills to Joint Parliamentary Committee. Now, we'll have to wait and watch who all are going to be the members of this crucial scrutiny committee. With video journalist Jagannath, I'm Piyush Mishra in Delhi for India Today.
Now, today's voting in the Lok Sabha has once again highlighted the biggest challenge for the government in the passage of the One Nation, One Poll bill. It's quite simply this, that the NDA does not have two-third majority in Parliament, which is required for a constitutional amendment, which is again needed for something like simultaneous elections to happen. Now, this two-third majority point was again highlighted in the numbers that came in today, because in the Lok Sabha, you had 298 MPs backing the bill. Now, remember, the 298 is the support they got, but the support that they need is 362, which clearly wasn't there. That's a big gap to actually fill in the Lok Sabha. 362 makes it two-third majority, two-third support, which is what the NDA, the government, needs. In the Rajya Sabha too, it's a similar problem. You've got 135 NDA MPs. Obviously, they will back the bill, but they need the support of 158. There are a few fence-sitters they're hoping to get around. We'll talk about that in just a bit. So essentially, you need more than 50% voting in both houses of Parliament. Then, of course, there's a challenge of state assemblies as well. Now, what's very clear is that all of the India bloc parties are against One Nation, One Election, and they made their message very, very clear, their opinion very clear on what they thought of the bill in the Lok Sabha session today, saying there's no question of us backing it. The same page, the middle ground was the JPC, but that was about it. Now, without the India bloc backing, it's tough really to go ahead and amend the constitution, bring these amendments. So the government needs to figure out a strategy to get the numbers on board, to kind of ensure that the India bloc isn't united in the manner that they are right now. Can the fence-sitters actually do that? By fence-sitters, we mean those who aren't part of the NDA or the India bloc right now. Now, let's tell you about their stand right now. The AIADMK backs One Nation, One Election, interestingly. They've said it clearly in the document also that they've handed over to former President Ramnath Kovind, who, remember, was heading that panel. When they sought, in fact, the opinions of different political parties, the AIADMK backed it. The BJD has said we're yet to decide, but while speaking to India Today, their stand did seem pro-government in the sense they said we believe that regional issues will not be overshadowed because of simultaneous polls. The YSRCP also at this point is backing this particular proposal, this bill. They've also been okay with a JPC. The question is, can the government completely rely on a YSRCP? Now, here's what's interesting. The BRS today, the floor leader, has actually confirmed that they too very much are for One Nation, One Election, for simultaneous polls. AIMIM is the only one in this entire list who's against One Nation, One Election, a message that was sent across clearly by Asaduddin Owaisi as well. But with this support, is it enough for the NDA? Not really. They are going to have to need some India bloc leaders also to come over to their side, which is hugely challenging for them. Let's get you breaking news coming in. Now, when the One Nation, One Election bill voting took place in the Lok Sabha, there were several BJP MPs who were missing, who didn't turn up for the voting. And sources telling us now that the BJP has not taken kindly to that particular step against those MPs who were not there. And a notice will be sent to all the absentees. More than 20 BJP MPs had skipped the One Nation, One Poll vote, which is a big, big number, and especially on such a contentious issue where the NDA needed all the numbers they could get. Here were over 20 MPs who weren't there when voting was taking place. So sources telling us within the BJP that a notice will now be issued to all of those MPs of the party who didn't turn up for the vote, seeking details of why they weren't there as well. So what exactly is One Nation, One Election? How can it be brought about in the country? And also, what are the advantages, the disadvantages, or rather the arguments for it and against it? Let me decode all of that for you in the next report. Parliamentary corridors are abuzz with the term One Nation, One Election. Now, the BJP is firmly back to the concept of One Nation, One Election, reiterating that they will ensure it becomes a reality. The ruling party says it saves time and money. Nearly 24 parties led by the Congress have called it impractical and unnecessary. Let's explain to you exactly what One Nation, One Election is all about. What exactly is One Nation, One Election? In essence, it envisions conducting simultaneous elections for both Lok Sabha and state assemblies throughout the country in one go. The proposal suggests a two-phase approach. First, elections for the Lok Sabha and state assemblies, followed by local body polls, but the second phase should happen within 100 days. Currently, elections for state assemblies and the Lok Sabha take place independently, as I'm sure you all know, either upon the completion of a 5-year term for the existing government or in the case of dissolution due to various reasons. Let's take you through the history of simultaneous elections. This concept actually is not new to India. Now, the concept of simultaneous elections dates back to the first general elections in 1951-52, which coincided with all Vidhan Sabha polls, with all state polls. This practice continued right up until 1967, when hung assemblies disrupted the trend and the timing. In 1983, the Election Commission then suggested that maybe we should go back to simultaneous elections. And then in 2003, the idea came up again. Then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee took up the matter with the then Congress President Sonia Gandhi. But there wasn't much headway made then. Again in 2010, again it was the BJP that put forward the initiative or took the step forward with LK Advani saying that he had discussed the matter with the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Over the years, you've seen a lot of talk about this. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been advocating for the idea of simultaneous Lok Sabha and state assembly polls clearly, which is why a high-level committee headed by former President Ramnath Kovind was formed on September 2nd, 2023. So according to the roadmap presented by this committee that's headed by Ramnath Kovind, simultaneous elections will require 18 amendments to existing laws, including 15 amendments to the Constitution, which fundamentally doesn't allow simultaneous polls. 5 articles in the Constitution and the Representation of People Act of 1951 would have to be amended. And for this, every recognized state and national party would have to agree to the change. So it is a tough ask for the BJP to get this to get a go-ahead. Now, for a constitutional amendment, 2/3 of the House must be present for the vote. A consensus of all political parties, of state governments, importantly, is also needed. After the constitutional amendment bill is passed in Parliament, it needs to be ratified by half the states in India through resolutions in their assemblies. So not just Parliament, assemblies also need to give the go-ahead. As per the Kovind panel, out of 62 parties that they approached, 47 responded with their views. 32 backed simultaneous polls, 15 opposed it. Besides the BJP, Shiv Sena, JDU, the AIA, DMK, the BJD, the Akali Dal, among others, have backed One Nation, One Election in their communication to the panel. The Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Trinamool Congress, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, Samajwadi Party, among other parties, have opposed the same. Many parties didn't respond then to the committee's query and have now spoken out either for or against the move. And even the ones I've listed here have been known to change their stance based on really how their alliance or allegiance has shifted. So apart from the legal and the constitutional challenges, including ensuring necessary support from political parties, another monumental task would be actually syncing the terms of various state legislative assemblies with those of the Lok Sabha with minimum disruption to governance. Obviously, state terms end at very different times, which is why literally all year round you have elections happening. There's still no real clarity on how to deal with breaks due to dissolution of houses, president's rule, or even a hung assembly or parliament, in which case then a state will have to go into elections earlier and thereby the entire sync again goes out. Additionally, there is a worry that regional issues might get overshadowed by the national issues, affecting the electoral outcome at the state level. Also, regional political parties would not be able to compete with national parties when it comes to election expenditure and strategy. And these are some issues that regional parties have voiced. Another area of concern that they've put up is the recurring cost of procuring EVMs, electronic voting machines. This, the poll panel has said, will be nearly 10,000 crore rupees every 15 years. So then the question that comes up is, why is BJP pushing for One Nation, One Election if there are so many challenges? Well, those who back this particular reform often underline that once implemented, it would bring down the overall expense, the overall expenditure on the electoral process. As per reports, a staggering 1.35 lakh crore rupees was actually spent to conduct the 2024 Lok Sabha election. The government hopes a one-shot election will also likely boost voter turnout, making it convenient for the electorate to cast their ballot in one go, one shot, and it's done for. Another argument favouring simultaneous polls is that it will lead to a more efficient administration. During elections, the entire state machinery focuses on conducting a free and fair electoral process. And obviously that means everyday administration takes a back seat because officials are engaged in polling duties. The frequent imposition of the Model Code of Conduct leads to policy paralysis, delaying developmental programs because nothing can move when the Code of Conduct is in place. Now, you've heard the arguments for and against one nation, one election. Let's see how, in fact, this issue progresses and how the BJP, if they push forward with this, actually ensures to get all parties on board. So we explained to you the arguments for, the arguments against one nation, one election. But remember, as I highlighted in that report, a Ramnath Kovind panel had come together to figure out exactly how simultaneous elections can happen in the country. How will it benefit India? Is it feasible? And how will it change India's election process? The man behind the bill, Ramnath Kovind, explains himself.
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, पहले तो मैं ये स्पष्ट कर दूं कि ये मात्र एक कैच फ्रेज है। इसका सही अर्थ यही है कि देश में जो पहले की व्यवस्था थी, जब देश आज़ाद हुआ था, राइट फ्रॉम 1952 से लेकर के 1967 तक, उस समय देश के लोकसभा और विधानसभाओं के चुनाव एक साथ होते थे। बाद में डिसरप्शन शुरू हुआ। इसमें मैं लोकल बॉडीज़ और पंचायत का इसलिए नहीं जोड़ रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये प्रोविज़न ही जो है वो बाद में राजीव गांधी सरकार द्वारा लाया गया था। लोकसभा और विधानसभा के चुनाव एक साथ होते थे, वो लगभग 15 साल तक हुए, एक क्रम चलता रहा। बीच में 68 के बाद में कुछ राज्यों पर आर्टिकल 356 लगा करके, अच्छा बुरा उसमें मैं नहीं जानना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन एक डिसरप्शन शुरू हुआ। ये जो साइकिल था एक साथ चुनाव कराने का, वो टूटा। और इसका जो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कैच फ्रेज है, इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि कभी कभी इसको मिस इंटरप्रेट भी किया गया लोगों ने, लेकिन उसका अभिप्राय यही है कि देश में लोकसभा और विधानसभा के चुनाव एक साथ होने चाहिए।
ये एक तरीके से समझ लीजिए कि एक फिल्म का टाइटल है, जो कि टाइटल हम जैसे एक कैची टाइटल रखते हैं, विच इज इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड।
मुझे लगता है सुधीर जी, इसकी उपयोगिता और इसके लाभ बहुत है, और सभी देशवासियों से अपील कर रहा हूँ, इसको आप पढ़िए, आपका भविष्य इसी में है। मुझे लगता है कि ये रिपोर्ट लागू हो जाएगा, दिस विल प्रूव टू बी ए गेम चेंजर। जो लोग जीवन भर वकालत करते हैं और आधा जीवन वकालत करते, आधे जीवन के बाद में वो जजेस बन जाते, और होते होते उनमें से जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के चीफ जस्टिस भी बन जाते। इस कमेटी की विशेषता यही है कि हमने उन रिटायर्ड चीफ जस्टिस को भी हमने बुलाया।
आपने चार फॉर्मर चीफ जस्टिस को बुलाया। उन चारों की राय क्या थी?
चारों की राय जो थी इसके पक्ष में थी कि साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन होना चाहिए, नंबर 1, और जो उन्होंने ऑब्जेक्शंस किए हैं उसके बारे में उन्होंने कहा था ये निराधार है, और मैं थोड़ा सा उसका जिक्र भी कर दूं आपके सामने। उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए, जो कहते हैं कि अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, मतलब एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो ये कहते हैं, उनका आधार ये है कि चूंकि एज ऑन टुडे जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन का कोई प्रावधान नहीं है, इसलिए एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। हमारा ये कहना है कि जिस समय आपने इस समय हमारा जो वर्तमान कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उसमें लगभग 115 से अधिक जो है, जब से देश आज़ाद हुआ है तब से उसमें 115 से अधिक जो है अमेंडमेंट हो चुके हैं। इसके साथ में अगर अमेंडमेंट हो जाएगा कि भाई लोकसभा और विधानसभा के एक साथ हो जाएंगे, तो ये जब इनैक्टमेंट बन जाएगा तो फिर ये बात खत्म हो जाएगी। एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फिर आप नहीं कहेंगे। फिर आप कहते हैं कि साहब अनडेमोक्रेटिक है। अनडेमोक्रेटिक क्यों है? इसलिए है क्योंकि ये आप डिवीजन कर देगा, मतलब इस तरीके से डेमोक्रेसी। अब डेमोक्रेसी का मैंने आपको उदाहरण दे दिया, एक तरफ 32 है, एक तरफ 15 है, बहुमत जो है उधर है, मान लेना चाहिए। मैंने इसमें हमारी कमेटी में एक हमारे बहुत प्रोमिनेंट इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं जो 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन के चेयरमैन भी रहे हैं, मिस्टर NK सिंह जी। उनको आपने कहा कि भाई इसमें एक स्टडी ग्रुप बनाइए इकोनॉमिस्ट का। उन्होंने बनाया, उसमें कुछ विदेशी हमारे इकोनॉमिस्ट भी आए, देश के भी इकोनॉमिस्ट थे, और सब लोगों ने एक ब्रेन मतलब स्टॉर्मिंग की और एक निर्णय पर वो ये निकले। उन्होंने कहा कि ये इस पर जो खर्चा आता है हमारा, ये आता है चुनाव पर, फ्रीक्वेंट चुनाव पर 5 से 5.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया, और इसके अलावा ये सरकारी खर्चा है, मतलब मोटे तौर पर। इसके अलावा आम मतदाताओं का खर्चा अलग होता है, उसको हम छोड़ रहे हैं। तो ये अगर एक साथ चुनाव हो जाएगा तो ये आपका सिमट करके जो है मुश्किल से जो है आपका 50,000 करोड़ रुपया आएगा, मतलब 5.5 लाख करोड़ की जगह 50,000 करोड़। अब ये जो बचत हो जाएगी तो ये बचत आपकी GDP को बढ़ाएगी, GDP को ग्रोथ को बढ़ाएगी, यही आपकी जो इन्फ्लेशन को कमी करेगी, आपका जो इंडस्ट्रियल आउटपुट होता है उसमें इंक्रीज हो जाएगा। इन सब चीज़ों का ऐसा कहा गया, और लबोलबाब ये कि इसका जो परिणाम आएगा, आखिरी परिणाम आएगा, वो 1 से 1.5% GDP इससे बढ़ने की संभावना है। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन कमेटी की जो हाई लेवल कमेटी, जिसका नाम दिया है सरकार ने, हाई लेवल कमेटी का जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हुई है, वो एक पॉलिटिकल एक फंक्शन है। मैं इसको नहीं मानता। कुछ समय तक जब ये विचार मेरे सामने लाया गया था तो मैंने भी इस पर विचार किया, और अंततोगत्वा फिर जब मैंने ये पूछा कि भाई इसकी नियुक्ति कौन करने वाला, नियुक्ति अगर इसकी रूलिंग पार्टी करती तो मैं इसको मान लेता कि ये पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है, पॉलिटिकल एक एक्टिविटी का हिस्सा है। इसकी ये कमेटी का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है वो किया गया बाय द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया। रिपोर्ट हमने जो सबमिट किया है वो भी हमने गवर्नमेंट की बजाय, क्योंकि मैं जो हम पद की दृष्टि से आप देख रहे हैं तो इवन एज ऑन टुडे जो है वो ज़्यादातर लोग नीचे ही हैं, प्रेसिडेंट, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बाद में पूर्व राष्ट्रपति का ही आता है ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रेसिडेंस में। उस दृष्टि से हमने ये कहा कि भाई ये रिपोर्ट जो है भले सरकार ने की हो, लेकिन रिपोर्ट हम जो है वो प्रेसिडेंट को ही सबमिट करेंगे, और रिपोर्ट हमने सबमिट की। प्राइम ऑफिसर लगता है, लेकिन मैं मानता हूँ कि ये लोक हित का मुद्दा है, देश हित का मुद्दा है, और इसलिए मैंने इसको स्वीकार किया।
तो आप इसे एक राजनीतिक गतिविधि नहीं मानते, क्योंकि लोग इसको लोग बीजेपी के साथ जोड़कर देखते हैं। ये बीजेपी का ब्रेन चाइल्ड है और बीजेपी ऐसा करना चाहती है।
देखिए, ये बीजेपी का ब्रेन चाइल्ड नहीं है सही मायने में। ये जो डिसरप्शन शुरू हुआ है देन यूपीए गवर्नमेंट, उस समय पता नहीं कौन सी गवर्नमेंट कहलाती थी, मुझे पता नहीं है, लेकिन सही मायने में ये ब्रेन चाइल्ड तो जो हमारे फाउंडिंग फादर्स है उनका है।
So you heard there from Ramnath Kovind, the brain behind the current bill as it is, with the proposals of what needs to be tweaked and what doesn't, explaining to you how simultaneous elections actually work.